give me fuel, give me fire.
What a great way to start.
You should see when I'm at the airport, brother, I get those second looks, just like, then they come back. Anybody ever tell you look like James Hetfield?
Well, hey, let me interrupt you real quick. Dean, we are
Yeah.
live, just so you know.
Oh,
So that was the perfect start. Um, welcome, everyone, to Tint Wisdom number 38, I believe. And today I'm joined with Dean Mitchell. Dean, thank you so much for doing this.
hey, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
So, absolutely, it's my pleasure. You're somebody that you can't not see pop up in Facebook groups, always in a positive light. And I'm, honored to get to chat with you, get to know you better, and do
Likewise.
this. So, giving it a second while everybody gets in there, and then if anybody can confirm, just want to make sure you can hear me, you can hear Dean well, and then we'll kind of jump into this. Cool. So, Dean, let's get right into this.
Yeah.
Where did you come from? How did you get into the window film industry? Were you dropped here from another planet? How did it all begin?
So basically, I started, when I finished high school, when you're 16 years old, you always wonder what you're going to do with your life, right? So I'm out of high school, go to college for a year. And, my folks are like, what are you going to do with your life? I have no idea at this point, right? So I went to college, just basic studies and stuff like that, and wasn't for me. So I so happened to get a job at General Motors. They had a General Motors plant back in 1990, I think it was. They built the plant where they assembled the Camaros and Firebirds in Montreal. It's just a suburb of Montreal. And I was screwing airbags. There was a table turning, and I was screwing airbags to steering columns. It was a boring job, but
Sure.
that's when I fell in love with the automotive industry. And so one day, one of my buddies got his windows tinted in a shop, and he comes back to my house, and he's like, "Let's strip the windows and try to do it ourselves." So we bought some window film at a local convenience store, which is called Canadian Tire, and which is really crappy film. But anyways, it took us about 3 days to get the job done, and that's basically how I started. And then just we announced ourselves and told our friends that we were window tinners all of a sudden, doing rear windows in 10, 11 strips pieces, just you know how it is, and trying to shrink the film with hair dryers, and it was really funny. It would take us at least a day and a half to do a car. So that's how we got started. And one day I'm at a glass shop because again we considered ourselves window tinners, and so I go to a glass shop with my buddy, and we started tinting it was a Dodge Omni, a 1987 Dodge Omni. I remember like it was yesterday. We started the car at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was 4 p.m. and we were halfway done. And then the glass shop called another company to do a Honda Civic, a 95 Honda Civic Coupe back. No, a 90. Anyways, it was a Honda Civic. And so they came in and got the car done in an hour, and they were using a heat gun. So we just stopped and watched them, and it was 6 o'clock. We finished our job. So long story short, that's how I got in the business. And then we just started, doing our friends' cars, and just that's how we got in the business basically, and it just grew from there. And he was my childhood friend. We were together in business for 2 years. You don't go in business with your family, is what I learned through this.
Mm-hmm.
We're still really good friends, but I went my own way. He went his own way, and I just 25 years later, this is where I am.
So what does that shop look like today?
That shop today, I sold it about a year ago,
Okay.
a little over a year ago. 8
Congratulations.
employees. Thank you. And when I sold, we were doing on average in the summertime, being in Montreal, 45 to 60 cars a day, and
Wow.
we're $1 million worth of sales yearly in window film, strictly tint up in northern Canada. So we were doing mostly wholesale dealership work.
Okay.
Yeah, 45 to 60 cars a day.
That's a lot of
And it's,
cars.
yeah, it's a lot of cars.
Was
Yeah.
there a plotter involved?
Back then, no, I was a
No hand
stubborn
cut.
guy. Believe it or not, I always told myself there's, a computer can never cut better than me. I'm a
Uh-huh.
hand cutter. I've been hand cutting forever, and I was stubborn for 19 years
Hmm.
until one of the franchisees. I'm from the Protex franchise in Canada. One of the franchisees had been plotting for years, and he just kept trying to convince me to plot, and was telling me that we'd save a lot of money on film and
Hmm.
scratch windows and stuff like that. So lo and behold, I signed up with another software and started plotting, and then I realized that I had missed out.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
That's
but it was all hand.
I feel like that's one of the scenarios where it's like, you can still find people who will say no plotter, don't use a plotter, but it's like it's beneficial to listen to the people who have it figured out, not the ones who haven't figured it out yet, right?
Yep,
Because like
yep,
you're always going to find people who haven't figured it out yet, but you know,
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it took me 19 years to figure it out. And when I started plotting, and I told my accountant back then, I said, we're going to buy a plotter. It's a big investment. So let's see within the next year how much film we're going to save, right?
hmm.
So with the volume we had, we actually saved $12,000 in the first year. She
Wow.
did the math, and just plotting economically, just nesting the patterns
Hmm.
using 30-inch rolls, 36-inch rolls, instead of just putting a 40-inch roll in your plotter and wasting 10 to 12 inches,
Right.
applied by the length of film you're plotting. It just added up, and 12,000. The plotter paid for itself in the first year, so
Hmm.
that it was an easy switch after that, and just the time we would save. Just
Huge.
it was, yeah, it was a win-win. Yeah.
Chris Queen asked how many tinters. Did you say it was 8 tinters?
Yeah, we were. I had six guys, myself and my partner. So yeah, the six guys were strictly on the road. My partner and I were at the shop doing the retail work. They were wholesaling dealerships. Actually, we were 9 employees altogether, including myself and my partner. I had one guy just answering the phone,
Sure.
and dealing with dealerships. They would ask the customer for VLTs. So then my employee would ask, the dealership, what VLTs the customer wanted. So he write them down, and he would plot nonstop. So his job was to answer the phone and plot kits. And when my guys would come in the morning, they had their boxes filled with the kits they had to do for that day, and they would just grab their boxes, put them in their cars, and off they went. And they had boxes, they had rolls, like bulk rolls in their vehicles in case something went wrong. But
Hmm.
yeah, so you save about 10, 15 minutes a car not having the hand cut. So they went from doing 5, 6 cars a day to 6, 7 cars a day.
Right.
So it
Why
was
not?
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Why not? So, what was the tell us like what was the reason for the sale? Was it something I don't know. Well, how did that come about? It's not a very often that people are selling window tint businesses. So,
Yeah, I mean, it was really so. What happened is in 2014. So I was in the Protex franchise, right? There's about 36 stores in Canada. I own the one in Montreal. On the tint side, there's 3 divisions. There's the paint protection, the tint, and the flat glass. They're distinguished by 3 different colors. There's blue is paint protection, red is tint, and yellow is flat glass. I own the red, which is tint, automotive tint. Shared my shop with the blue, which is paint protection film.
okay.
So how it came about is that our distributor back then was called Parasol Canada. We were using another brand, which I will not mention. Um, Unfortunately, the film was really hard to work with, and
Hmm.
that's when XPEL, came around and offered to buy the distribution company that we were dealing with, and then that's when we switched over to XPEL Films in 2014,
Okay.
which is 6 years ago. So we were the first ones to use prime window film when it came out in 2014 in Canada. I don't know about the US, but in Canada, we were the first ones. So automatically we're like, oh, here we go again. We're going to try another film. Is it going to be like the film we're currently using? We use many brands of film over the past 25 years that, a lot of them were really good. A lot of them were really bad, so it was, and with the volume we had, it's a gamble because it can make you or break you, right?
Sure.
So, and then at that stage of the game to have to switch films was another big gamble, and we went with it. Not only because we didn't know anything about XPEL back then, so it was what they had to offer back then, which was very interesting. You have reps that come to you and say, "Oh, we'll do this for you, we'll do that for you," and
Sure.
what they did to us in 2014, I was able to sell my company 4 years later, and grow my numbers due to the fact that, how can I say this? Sorry, my French is kicking in. Due to the fact that they were able to help me grow my business, basically, and not only that, but I fell in love with the film. I mean, just working with the film, just shrinking it is one thing. I know that people say you can't judge a film by the way it shrinks, but to me, at first, that was one of the main issues back 6 years ago. And then just the scratch coat, longevity was a guess, right? Thank God, 6 years later, we've never had an issue. So, that's why I'm here today. I love the film and the company so much that when they approached me in 2015 is when they called me, and Matt Morrow, who's the vice president of XPEL, called me and said, "I would like you to start using DAP to try out the tint patterns." We were using another software back then. And I said, "Sure, no, I'll try it." And, the patterns weren't up to my standards. So, and then he said, "Would you like to start designing the patterns for us?" And I said, "Well, I don't really have time with the volume I have, blah, blah, blah." Long story short, he convinced me. I went to San Antonio, met the team, fell in love with the team. And then, they trained me on the software. They trained me on how to design the patterns. And that's where we're at 3 years later. And that's where I started publishing the patterns that I was designing on social media. And I didn't know that, to me, like, I started using patterns so much later in my career that I didn't know, I wasn't very familiar with all the tint shops in the U.S. and they had been plotting for years, and the struggles they were having with patterns. And I would see the comments on social media, roller coaster ride, and you see all the bad mouthing that goes on. Nothing will ever be perfect, but then I was seeing that, and then I with the experience that I had, I was able to test my patterns and just try to make them fit like to my standards. And then I would post videos, and then I started getting a lot of requests. What is that? What program is that? And that's how it all happened. Basically, is just sharing the quality of patterns that I was putting out there. And it was a lot of work. I did over 800 patterns in 2.5 years, and close to 1,000 patterns now in 3 years. I no longer do patterns, but the guy that took over for me is a guy that has been working for me for the past 20 years. And quality is still, it's going to remain what it was, what I established. And but yeah, that's how it came to be. And I guess that's kind of where my what's the word I'm looking for, Eric? Help me. my recognition,
okay. Your fame.
Well, not fame. I can't say fame, but that's, I realized that people were in desperate need of good patterns, basically. And although there are a lot of good software companies out there, and I'm not saying that ours is 100% perfect. Nothing's perfect, sure. But I was able to put a kind of standard that tinters really appreciated, and that's what people appreciated, and that's where we're at. And
So if you're not making patterns anymore, what are you doing?
So hold on, I need to drink water.
Me too.
So I was offered. So when I got up to date with patterns, XPEL started. They noticed the kind of experience I had with window tint, so they started to send me to advanced train dealerships, shops, and then it went really well. So they sent me to China, they sent me to Europe. I went all over the world, advanced
Wow.
to advanced train tinters, and I've always been the kind of tinter that. I've never been stuck in my old ways, besides the fact that I never wanted to plot. I was always a hand cutter. But as far as technique and install methods, I was always open to new ideas. And I think that my approach to my training method was, I'm not coming here to train you. Let's learn from each other. And I think that's why our industry is changing, is because we're creating this vibe where we these Facebook pages, we all feel that they're beneficial in order for us to learn from each other. And that's how I was when I was training people. I would never act like I was, hey, I'm better than you. Let me show you how to do this. I was like, let me learn from you. You learn from me, and let's see what we can both bring to the table and make each other better. And and because of that, it went really well. And then they decided to give me the Northeast territory to be in sales. So now I'm a territory manager for New England, which I have 10 states on the Northeast. And my goal, again, is when I visit shops and when I visit the current customers that I have or future customers, is just to walk in there and to keep sharing the knowledge and my experience, how I made it to selling $1 million a year in window tint. Sorry, my French is kicking in again. What made me successful as a shop owner? If I'm able to share that along with the knowledge that I've gained over the years with my install methods, it's a win-win. So I'm able to keep training, and I get to visit shops. I get to lay some film now and then, and I just love what I do. I just love what I do. Yeah.
That's awesome. You're in Pittsburgh now, yeah?
Yeah, I'm in Pittsburgh. It's the Pittsburgh Auto Show. I'm in my hotel room right now. Right across the street is the I forget what it's called, but where the Pittsburgh Pirates play, and the Pittsburgh Convention Center is right across. So we're there representing XPEL at the Pittsburgh Auto Show this weekend. So anybody that's watching that's in Pittsburgh, then come on down.
So, if you could, the volume, just kick it down a little bit. I think it's coming through on the feedback, but just a little bit.
Yeah, is it better now?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. So, yeah, I can't hear anything. Like, I don't hear anything. So, Shamal Jose said he'd love to get samples of XPEL and he'd love to use the software. For anybody wondering about the software, because there is a consensus, even just beyond what you're saying, of XPEL being the best patterns out there. Who has access to it? Who doesn't? Is it something anybody can use, or how does that work?
So yeah, there used to be a time where XPEL started off as a software company. Everybody knows that we started off as a software company. So there was a time where anybody could use the software until we started distributing film. And but nowadays it's like, for example, in my territory, if you don't buy the film, if you don't use the film, it's the patterns are designed by XPEL employees. Excuse me. They're an extension of our products.
Sure.
So it's not really fair for people that don't use the film to have access to XPEL software, because it's an extension of the product, right? So we just want it to be one, basically, and we're not the only ones doing it. Everybody's doing it now. It's a common thing. It's what it is. It's not my decision. I mean, if it was only up to me, the whole world could use the patterns. But I mean, I think it's a good decision, to be
It's
honest with
definitely
you.
a good decision.
Marketing wise and
Yeah.
business wise, it's a good business decision, and that's why everybody's doing it now. And it is
Right.
what it is.
I
You
mean,
know,
look, it's a especially good decision for these reasons. It's not hurting anyone. It's not like, oh, we're not going to let these other people use it. It's a competitive advantage of the company and using their film. And what does that do at the end? If XPEL let everybody use that pattern, every everyone else's software would be worse than XPEL's if even anybody ever made a software. But by XPEL making that exclusive to them, then other companies have to make patterns, right? Then they have to make hopefully better patterns, and then that makes XPEL make
exactly.
better patterns. And at the end, the tint everybody ends up with better. So
Thank you.
it
That's exactly what I wanted to hear, because that's exactly the goal. I
yeah.
mean, if we're making good patterns and it forces other companies to
Hmm.
step up, then all the better, right?
Yep.
Our industry as a whole is going to be a winner,
And
because again, when I came in and when I started designing 3 years ago, I told you before, it's like it was a big roller coaster ride, and there was a big struggle and there was a huge need for good patterns, whether it be for paint protection film or window tint.
mhm,
It was the same thing. So if I was able to help bring other software companies to step up their game,
mhm,
or so be it. I mean, good for the industry as a whole. And
mhm,
you know me now. I've always been about the industry more than anything else. I came on board with XPEL after 23 years in the business, so the industry is very important to me, and everybody that knows me knows that I'll go above and beyond to help uh, whoever whoever needs help. Basically, I don't care who you buy from. I don't care who you are. If you need help and you want to make the industry look, like I've said it before, one bad tint job makes us all look bad. So why
mhm.
not just work together? I posted a picture on Window Film Revolution this morning
I
of
saw.
trees.
Yep.
When the roots are touching, right? We're
Hmm.
we're all uh, from the same roots, and let's just grow from that root, and
Yep.
we're all one, basically. So, and the best example of that is what happened in Texas this summer, right? When we had a brother in need this summer. um, Sorry, I get choked up when I talk about it, but John Little is a good example of how we reunited the whole industry together. I
Hmm.
mean, we had 3M, we had Hooper Optic, we had us, XPEL, we had everybody was there just helping out, and nobody cared what.
Right.
The only thing important was sharing the knowledge and sharing the love and sharing the love of the industry,
Hmm.
and helping a brother in need. And
Right.
that was the best example of how we can come together as an industry family. That blew my mind, to be able to sell a heat gun for that amount. But it's not
Yeah.
about the amount;
Of
it's about
course.
the love of the industry, and what became of it is just, it's mind boggling to me. It's just
Yeah.
yeah. So John, and I'm sure, I don't know if John is watching, but just the fact that his wife got her heart on December 25th. I mean,
Hmm.
how crazy is that? You
Yep.
know, it's a miracle. I mean, it's a miracle. I mean, it went from nothing to, to she was standing up on her porch last weekend, staring at the sun. I mean, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
if we were a little part of that, the
Hmm.
window film industry was a little part of somebody. Just it's just, I don't know. I'm speechless.
I
Yeah.
mean, and it's like the post you made. It's just, and this like this whole scenario, like it's like you said, just something that we should be operating under those terms every day. There's always that grand cause. Like right now, there's still that grand cause of helping each other out and like making the best of everything we can. Definitely not like disrespecting or tearing anybody down. Like there's
Ah,
just never a reason.
there's always people that are going to be, there's always haters out there, and it is what it is. We're never going to change that. And these people are, you know, you can't be mad at them. They're passionate, and that's how they demonstrate their frustration. It is
Sure.
what it is. But I'm all about helping, and a lot of people can confirm that I put my personal number on those posts, and call me directly,
Yeah.
message me. Just, I don't care who you buy from, who you are. I just want us to look good. I want the industry to look good, and I want people. I want the end consumer to have confidence in what we do, and not lose confidence. Therefore, not wanting to get their windows tinted or their cars protected with film, or So that's what I've always been about.
So to your point, I was speaking with Martin Fowler from Alligator Tint in Florida.
Yes,
He's actually
yes.
going to be a guest tomorrow. It was supposed to be
Nice.
next week, but we had to move it up to tomorrow, doing some scheduling. So anyway, the only conversation I've had with him was a couple of weeks ago, and
Yep.
you know, he's an XPEL dealer, and he brought up that like what he really appreciates about you and XPEL was that like he had an issue with a car or a question, he sent you a message, and you had called him like a second later and helped him through it, and he's like,
Yeah.
obviously that's something he values very much. And to what we were just speaking on, like when we were talking about the patterns and you're mentioning customer service, like people often go on the Facebook groups and the common question is, how do I pick which film to carry? What's the best film to carry? And like these are pillars of how you figure out what film you want to carry. So you don't necessarily have to like anything about XPEL. You might like something about another company that you hold very valuable to you. But in this case, patterns, customer service, quality of the film, like that's how you figure it out. So you figure it out by who do you like, who treats you well, who brings to the table what you need most. If you're a hand cutter, then the patterns aren't going to be a big draw to you. It is what it is.
Exactly. You see a lot of posts. What film company is the best? What film is the best? Let's test a whole bunch of films. Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. And you'll see some of my answers to those posts is, although I'm now a rep for XPEL, I will always tell you, I'm always speaking as a tinner to tinner. Just get samples. Just get a whole bunch of samples from different, and you're going to be working. You're going to have 10 samples in front of you, and you're going to find one that's going to be an eye opener for you. Whether it be because of the way it shrinks, because of the way it feels, because of how it reacts to your style of tinning, is the film that you're going to choose. And then once you've chosen that film that works for you, then you see what the company that's backing it up, what they can do for you to help you grow. I mean, and that's it. It's your decision. There's a lot of great films out there. There's a lot of great companies. There's a lot of good reps. There's a lot of, it's what you want, what fits your style, and then what the company can do for you. And then you go from there. And if you have to try them out. I can't just say, Eric, I want you to buy XPEL because it's the best film, right? Because it's easy for me to say that because I'm a sales rep, or any sales rep from any company can say, it's the best film on the market. It doesn't scratch. It's got the best IR. It's got no lower angle haze. It's the best ever. It's, whatever. You have to try it for yourself. You have to you have to try it so that it suits your style. And then you go from there and build on that. So, and I still say it to this day. And if it happens to be XPEL, so be it. If it happens to be whatever other company, so be it. There's something out there for everybody. There's not millions, but there's thousands of window tinners and companies out there. So there's enough going around for everybody. So it's what the company back in the film can do for you, and if it fits your style of tinning.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said. So if you were looking back at your tint shop, obviously very successful tint shop, if you had to point out one thing that you felt you really could have improved upon looking back, what would that be?
I would concentrate on retail more than wholesale.
Mm-hmm. So retail more than the dealer work.
Yes, because one of the major reasons I decided to sell my shop is the wholesale stress. Dealership work made me sick. It did. As a window tinner, when 90% of my business was wholesaling dealerships, and they want it now, they want it today, they want it, and they don't want to. They're not all the same, but. Maybe I don't handle my stress really well, but
you seem to be a pretty carefree guy in general. So I imagine
now I am as you get older, But back in the day, it's just when you're under that constant pressure of, I want you to do that car now. Well, I can't do it now. I'm booked. Well, I'm going to call your competitor. Okay, so I'll do it. And then it's nonstop. And then we've been charging the same prices for 20 years. Okay, so you go to your dealerships and, okay, we're going from $200 to $205 is your wholesale price now. Never mind, I'm going to call your competitor. Even after 15 years of service, they're not loyal. Some of them. I'm not generalizing, but what I went through. And if I had to start my business over again today, I would go retail. I would have a retail shop and just have, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is as stressful, but because I was just so much into wholesale work,
well, yeah. And I think the difference as well, I feel like the retail work plays more on your strengths because you're able to offer some of the things that I find are your strengths, such as, your personality and your like open-mindedness and so on. Like you can apply that to a customer that's going to appreciate, pay for that, and then have loyalty from that. Whereas a dealership, they're truly concerned at the end of the day, probably with the lowest price and getting it now.
Yeah.
And that doesn't leave much room for you to add extra value beyond speed and availability.
Yeah. And the other thing I would do it. Let's say if I didn't have the opportunity to just be retail, I would set up a system where I would make it so that the people that sell the jobs in the dealerships educate the customers.
Sure.
They because most of the comebacks we have is because of the lack of education to the end consumer. They just want to sell a job and make the money, but they don't tell them that there may be some contamination. If it's PPF, there may be seams, some edges may not be wrapped. There's just a lack of education to the end consumer when you do wholesale work. Right. So I would implement some type of education system towards the end consumer, which would take away a lot of the stress that I went through over the years dealing with the end consumer, ultimately because the dealership did not educate them. Yeah. And I can't blame the dealership. That was partly our fault because we didn't know better. But if I had one piece of advice for shops that do a lot of wholesale, is tell the people that sell the jobs in dealerships, the finance department is what I was looking for. I have to think in French first, to educate the customers. Like we do our retail customers, you go above and beyond to tell them what's normal, what's not normal. Well, you have to educate the end consumer, especially in dealerships. So that's a good piece of advice for
yeah, and that's a really, really, really good idea because I feel like everybody's crossed that thought has gone through their mind. Should I go get dealerships or how's dealer work and so on? And really, what you just said is, not only can you educate the dealerships to eliminate kind of problems and make their sale better, but you really have the opportunity of creating a sales program for them that could lead to upselling of products and more commission opportunities for them as salespeople and as a dealer. And when you're presenting kind of an all-in-one way that a dealership and their salespeople can make more money and make their customers happier, then you're now providing value to that dealer beyond just service or speed and availability or price and availability. So if you want some dealer work, think out of the box, make some flyers. You could start at any level, but give them the tools they need.
I had wall boxes in all my dealerships, which again, they all ended up, on the floor under their desks. But you need a team to be able to support that education. Yeah. It'll make your life much easier. Yeah.
So in the comments, Matt Blackmer from Tint Stuff asked, he said, I'd love to have a longer conversation about this sometime, but XPEL tint patterns are the only patterns that gave me confidence in plotter software. Dean definitely does an amazing job. I respectfully disagree about the decision to lock software to the brand, though. I understand the competitive advantage it gives XPEL, though. The main issue I have is when I shop for a film, I cross my fingers that their software patterns are good. Most haven't been that good. I mean, Matt, and then, Dina, I'll shut up. But to me, I guess that's exactly what XPEL wanted was You know,
Yeah.
you're going to go shopping for another film, and one of the things you're going to consider as a value add is the software, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, I get it that it would be cool if it was open to everybody, but I really don't think ultimately it'd be that cool because it's going to stunt innovation because that'll just be what everybody just uses and relies on. It removes some incentive from XPEL to continue to aggressively develop their patterns. It basically
Yep.
demotivates everybody and takes that out of the factor. Whereas like these patterns cause growth in the industry. Like the growth goes where there's like, you know, where there's some sort of like value. It's like a supply and demand thing. So
Yep.
I feel like it ultimately is good. And why
Yeah.
wouldn't
Well,
you carry
so
XPEL? That's my question. Other than they won't let you because of the territory.
exactly, and a lot of people. There's a lot of people that understand the territory agreements that we have, uh, but there's a lot of people that don't, and that's fine. But we just, what happens when you open up two shops right next to each other? Eric, you answer this question. So you have XPEL, and you're 2 miles from your competition that has XPEL.
Sure.
What's the only thing differentiating
Sure.
yourselves
For the
each
most
other?
part, it's going to be the customer leveraging one against the other for price. And
Exactly.
that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're not making any money. You're going to end up in the next $99 tint shop. So we just tend to try to distance them in order for them to be able to uphold their pricing and be the only one in the area that have access to the product. It's just, I think every single film distributor should do that because it just, we wouldn't have $99 tint shops if that was the case,
What is
right?
the territory if it's something that's uniform across the country in the US, what is it
There's no
mileage?
set there's no set radius.
Okay.
It depends on population, market area. It depends on the size of the account. If you've got a $2,000 account, let's say they buy $2,000 a year. Am I going to open up somebody 10 miles down the road that may be a little bigger? Yeah, why not? Because he's got more volume. This guy's probably not just concentrating on the products that we sell. That's why his numbers are so low. But obviously, we're going to talk to this person at 2,000 and say, "Is there anything you can do? Can I help you grow your numbers?"
Sure.
And we'll go above and beyond to make sure that this guy brings his numbers up before we decide and we'll make sure he's aware that there might be somebody coming on board that's got bigger numbers. And if
Sure.
that's the case, and if he agrees, and if he can't do anything, and we can't do anything to make him grow his numbers, then it is what it is. But there's no set radius. It's really population, market area, size of the account. We have to, and it's not fun for a rep to
Sure.
say no, right? We all know that
Of
reps are paid
course.
on commission. So if I tell you no, it's not personal, and I tell people that every day. We get a lot of leads, and if I turn somebody down, like I'd say about 90% of the guys or guys and gals that I turn down understand and they respect it. Like, wow, I wish so and so would have done that for me. But then when there are a few that don't, and they're like, and then it is what it is. But the dealers that we have respect the fact that we protect their territories, and it's allowed them to grow. So
Yeah.
so
Well,
there's no set radius, there's no distance. It's every single territory is a little different, so we all have to manage our territories. We have to adjust to the market area, basically.
sure. And trying to see the positive light in it, if you find yourself getting turned down by a manufacturer, I just saw a post yesterday or today, somebody saying something along the lines of like, to all these companies that turned me down, you're going to see how good I am or whatnot. And it's really not about that. You have to understand like what Dean just said. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't take that as an opportunity to work in the direction to get you the position you want. So like if you're not doing enough volume for an XPEL dealer, if maybe you can win on a lot of levels. You can win on great marketing. You can win on volume. You can win on customer service. You can win on a lot of levels. So
Yeah.
just like work towards it. Don't close that door prematurely for any reason. Because
Yeah.
if you want to work towards it, but I think
Yeah. And
that's
when we turn somebody
normal.
down, they stay in our system, right? So if ever there's something happens with one of our existing dealers, and they decide to go another route, or something happens where whatever, they're the next one on the list. So we'll call them up. We call them up and say, listen, are you still interested? Because something's not going right with whatever account we have, And so it's not like they go away forever. They're always there in our
Right.
system. So, we keep a constant flow of leads that we get, and we want as many people to have the product as we can, but we need to limit it, obviously, because we don't want people to devalue any product for that matter, whether it be whatever brand. It's just not good for the business, and that's why we're not able to raise our prices, is because people are competing with the same materials.
Right.
So it's yeah.
So when you're now going into a lot of different shops, a lot of people's shops, is there anything that stands out to you that you see most often, something that maybe is not a big thing but could have a big impact that you try to change?
Yes. Yes, and that's not in the shops that are in my territory. So if there's anybody listening that's in my territory, that's not. I'm talking about the past 3 years that I've been with XPEL. I've visited a lot of shops due to the training that I used to do. The one thing you have to make sure, and will sound really maybe stupid, but make sure your bathroom is clean.
Yeah.
All right, because I'm a customer, I give you my keys to my $100,000 car, my $30,000 car, my $20,000 car, which is whatever. And then I go to the bathroom and it's disgusting. What are you going to do to my car? So the first thing I do when I walk in a shop is I look at the restroom. If the restroom is nice and clean, I know that the owner cares about his business. Make sure you have a clean shop, a clean bathroom.
A clean parking lot. A clean parking lot.
It just cleanliness in your shop just says a lot to your customer. They know they have the confidence that you're going to take care of their vehicle if you can take care of your restroom.
Sure.
And that's that I didn't make that up. I read that in a book, in a customer service book years ago. And then when I opened up my shop, I can tell you that my bathroom was always my restroom or bathroom. What's the word? Is it bathroom or restroom?
Both.
Both.
Both equal.
Okay, so I always made it a point that the bathroom was really, really clean, so that my customers would have a good experience.
Yeah.
They didn't feel that they couldn't touch anything because there's. Yeah. So what's my car going to look like if So yeah, cleanliness in a shop is very, very important.
Yeah, I mean, even in I totally agree about the bathroom, because that's disgusting and sets a tone. And like you said, they're going in your car after, so that's gross. But beyond that, how many times I see shops where if you just spray the walls white, it's gonna look so good. Just spray them white. They got dirty. It's okay. Just spray them one color, but just do it. It doesn't matter if there's studs on the wall, but it creates an opportunity for you to be able to take pictures and post them online that you can be proud of, because in pictures, just any flat color looks good, as opposed to when it's a mess, So it just it helps you when the customer comes in, then it helps you market, that helps you get more customers in. It starts getting the ball rolling. When XPEL comes in to check out your shop, they're impressed. You become an XPEL dealer. It just has the self-fulfilling prophecy when things are kept clean and nice. It really does.
Yeah, and I mean, when we send customers, I mean, we do a lot of, we do good marketing at XPEL, and ultimately we create a lot of traffic for our dealers, and it's fun for us to be able to make it to these shops as a rep and give advice to shop owners, because ultimately when we go there, they ask us for advice, and I tell them, I mean, as a shop owner, not many reps are, I mean, we're lucky at XPEL, we have a lot of reps that have shop experience, that own shops. Not all of them, but it's fun to be able to share that knowledge. The fact that we've owned shop, we're able to let them know that it's important to have a clean shop, and So when we send customers there, I'm able to tell my shop, my dealers now, do this, do that. When the customer comes in, he'll be very confident. Word of mouth is very important. So, and then they're going to share it. You're going to get Google reviews on the cleanliness, on the quality of your service, and ultimately, that's just word of mouth again is just going to create that traffic. And you have to be very, very professional. I mean, that's how it is today with social media. And you have, as a business owner, you have to litter social media with all the good stuff you do. Don't only. I have a lot of shops that all they do is publish or make posts of the high-end models that they do. Just post a Honda Civic, post a 1992 Toyota Corolla with brand new window tint on it. I mean, don't limit yourself to the high end models. It's not going to attract more people. It's just going to scare away the people that have low end
For
models.
sure.
So if you want to bring them in, just everything you do, just litter social media, and it's going to create that traffic.
Yeah.
That's what I did at my shop. And they're not coming in the shop thinking that they're going to be treated differently because they have a $3,000 car
Or that
versus
the
a
prices are
$100,000.
just super high.
We treat
Prices
them the
have to be high.
same.
Right.
We treat them the same. We educate them the same, and we tint their windows the same, or install PPF the same way we would a $100,000 car. And we publicize that on social media just to show them that it's as important to us as whatever car we get. So
and oftentimes a person who just purchased a brand new like Toyota Camry is more proud and more wanting to protect their vehicle than somebody who bought an S-Class and they traded it in after 2 years and they could give any F's about it. So like it's usually,
and you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to pump gas when I was in school, right? And I would see a Mercedes or a high-end model come in. I'd pump the gas. I would get 0 tip. I'd get a torn down Honda Civic with rust all over it. I'd get $2 to $3 a tip. Yeah. So they appreciate a little more. I'm not generalizing again, but most of the time the people that have, it's a bigger investment for them. Mm-hmm. So they tend to appreciate the good work. And so, yeah, I mean, you have to.
There is such thing as a cheap Ferrari owner, and then there's like that's a real thing. So,
yeah.
And then you might even start dealing with people who think that they're doing you a favor by bringing their high-end car to your shop, and it should be even cheaper than it should be. So like you never know what don't wish for like the grass isn't always greener. Like don't just wish for what you don't have because you might not want it,
Exactly.
Chamal had a question. He asked, how far down do the window tint patterns go?
There's no limit. There's no limit. I mean, there's when I was designing and the new designer, so they're going around whatever they can get their hands on is what they're gonna design, is what they're gonna fix. So there's no limits as to how far back we'll go.
I think he meant down. I guessed he meant down the window, like below the seal.
Oh,
I don't know. Okay. It's just the way I interpret it.
Because I've been asked that question before. I mean, are you gonna, if you see a '67 Camaro, are you gonna design it? Yeah, I'm gonna design it. If I have it in front of me, I have access to it, I'm gonna design it. How far down I'll go? So we have 3. So we either have 2 or 3 different lengths. We have short, standard, long. When you don't see a shortcut, sorry, I'm digesting my dinner at the same time. Sorry. When you don't see a shortcut, it's because the inner and outer gasket are at the same height. So there's no use for a shortcut because you're going to see the edge of the film on the outside. So the inner gasket has to be lower in order for there to be a shortcut. So the standard cut is about 1/4 inch. It tucks about 1/4 inch below the inner gasket, and the long cut is 3/8 longer than the standard. So that's it. And the shortcut just sits right above the top of the inner gasket.
And Matt Blackmer had a really great suggestion. He brought up people need to epoxy finish their floors. Floors are an easy thing to do these days. They're becoming more and more popular, and it really does make a garage look absolutely beautiful. And you can even do them yourself if you maybe do them every year or so, or you can get them professionally done and they'll last a lot longer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it looks very professional, and it's affordable nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it really does give that like wow factor, and and it keeps it clean and it looks clean and the whole thing. So that's a really good suggestion.
Yep.
So, is there anything we missed out on today that you wanted to get out there? Or
Listen, I'm always out there. I want people to know that they can reach out to me anytime. I'm busy, but a lot of people that are probably listening tonight know that they can reach out to me on Messenger. They have my personal phone number. I'll keep giving advice as much as I can. I always try to keep, when I'm sitting at my desk, I've got my phone right next to me, and I've got, I'm looking at Facebook, all the window film pages, and I'm there. So just reach out to me anytime if you need help, whether it be for, especially install. I mean, I've learned so many things with my travels that I like to share. Unfortunately, I don't have time to post as many videos as I used to, or that I want to, but phone call 514-992-8250 is my number.
Do you have a
And
YouTube
my
channel?
email, I don't. I don't. Maybe I should.
You
Maybe I
really
should,
should.
but
I bet you if you had kind of like a little vlog style YouTube channel, people would be very
I got
interested.
I got to find the time though. I mean, with all the travels
Um,
and stuff, but
well,
yeah,
I feel
I'm down
like
for that.
if it was something you wanted to do, I feel like XPEL can see the value that you are able to provide, and you would better communicate your message if you had somebody that would follow you around, video it, edit it, and post it. So who knows? You don't have to find the time.
Maybe. I mean, this. I'm open to any suggestion. I mean, I'm whatever it is, as long as it's there to grow the industry. That's what I'm all about, and hopefully we can keep doing that. And uh, I'm hoping that we can come up with ways of reuniting the industry and not wait for a tragedy to happen like
Yeah.
it did this summer. And again, I did it again. I auctioned off another heat gun a couple months ago for a coworker of ours who lost their house to a fire. And again, the industry came together and chipped in, and it helped a lot. And so let's not wait for. I'm not talking about collecting money. Uh, I don't like being at war with anybody. I don't like being in competition with anybody. Like I said before, there's enough going around out there for everybody. So
Mhm.
it'd be fun to be able to do, whether it be for a good cause or whatever, just to get together, get all the manufacturers together for a reason. Name it. We need ideas to make it happen. Let's not wait on a tragedy to do something like that, because it was so beautiful. I mean, you can ask anybody who was there from every company that was there. It was just everybody's looking at each other like we're brothers and sisters, and we have to make it happen more often. And it's just sad that it doesn't. And so hopefully that's my goal for the future. Yeah, just to be able to reunite the industry as more than it's being reunited now. So
That's a perfect goal. I mean, I sincerely love that goal. So
mm,
you can count me in to support in every way possible, because that's like
thank
seriously
thank you.
what it's about. Everybody should be helping everybody through this and enjoying and working together, because the other way is definitely sucks compared to that.
No,
You know what I mean? Like then those are the
yeah,
options. I feel like
yeah,
jumping back a little bit to Jamal's question, you were
uh-huh,
100% right. He meant years on vehicles.
yeah,
So
yeah,
he did ask a follow-up question, like 1969 Fords. What about commercial trucks? Do you guys have patterns for commercial trucks?
yeah. We do. We have
Okay.
Kenworth. We have Volvo. We have Kenworth, Volvo, Mack trucks. You just have to go in the you can select commercial vehicles in DAP. You can select commercial vehicles. Yeah, but and it's an ongoing process. We've got. I was alone designing for 3 years. Now we've currently have one and a half designers in North America.
Mhm.
North Mexico's part of that, so almost three designers now. So yeah, it's an ongoing process. The database is growing as we speak, and yeah, I still have access to the software. I'm still editing patterns when I have time. I still get requests, especially for eyebrows. I know a lot of people want different sizes and stuff. It's not something that, and you can have a windshield that's got you have a model that's got five different windshields due to the sensors. So, again, it's an ongoing, we just need that feedback in order to make it happen. And, I relay that information over to the design team, and they have a list and they get it done. It's a long process, but it'll end up being in the software.
Lawrence just asked, Lawrence Williams asked, can I send you a pattern if you don't have it?
Nope.
Okay, fair enough. And that's probably to keep quality consistent, I
Yeah,
guess.
because we have to have the car with us when we design. I can't get into details on how we design, but we do not uh, pay tinters to send us their liners. We have to have the vehicle in front of us, but otherwise it's not going in the software. When a pattern is designed and it's been published in the software, it's been tested. by the designer who designed it. So
Yeah.
we do not accept any. Yeah, we have to have the car, and that's why the patterns are what they are.
Well, that makes sense, just for consistency reasons. Because
Yeah,
at the end of the day, like, stuff starts sneaking in there, and that changes the whole
exactly.
ball game. So
Yep, yep,
cool. Well, I guess we could wrap this up. Thank you so much for
yep.
doing this, Dean. It was
Eric,
more than a pleasure chatting with you.
likewise, and just keep doing what you're doing. It's very informative, and you're getting a lot of great people on there with a lot of good information. And it's again, I'm all about growing the industry, and you're doing a good job. So I appreciate you.
Cool. I appreciate you saying that. And tomorrow we'll be back with Martin Fowler from Alligator Tint out of Florida. He's an
He's a
XPEL
great guy.
dealer. And yeah, he's found so much success in such a short amount of time. He has a unique setup. He has a,
Yes.
mobile setup. He's found success through YouTube and generating business. And he's, a small operation. He's a single person, but he's doing like big things out of a small package.
Did
So
he tell you how long he's been in the business?
it's like 1 year, isn't it?
And he's got that. I mean, it's crazy. The guy
Yeah.
knows what he's doing, despite the fact that he's only been doing it for a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I think he's one of those people where his fresh perspective has
yeah,
been a big part of how he's been so successful, because he just
yeah,
is looking at things. How can I do them the best way, not how have they been done?
yeah. Exactly, exactly. I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say, and a lot of people can get a lot from what he's going to say tomorrow, especially the newbies out there. So stay tuned.
We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Thanks again,
All
Dean.
right. Bye, guys. Thanks, Eric.